What is reincarnation?
Uh-oh. Ah! Oh, you got me, but I shall be reincarnated. You can't kill a Hindu! Help me, Jesus!
Pretty much, right? Well, I think that's what most people imagine when they hear the word reincarnation. My earliest experience with the concept comes from my childhood watching The Simpsons.
Over, under, round and round, so your feet won't touch the ground. Now, let's see what awaits me in the next life. First I was a tiger, a snake, a clod, a goat with a hat, then me, a tapeworm, then assistant to Lord Michaels. It's going to be a rough couple of lifetimes.
And that's pretty much it. Aside from a few other jokes here and there, that is my basic understanding of what it means to reincarnate. You die and begin life again in a new body or object. Now, that last part is where the jokes and general misconceptions come in.
What do you boys want out of life?
To die and come back as a leotard?
It has also been the most interesting aspect since first introduced to me. The idea that you can come back to life in various forms is a fascinating idea to most, but again, what is reincarnation? How is the next body selected, and are there desirable or undesirable bodies to obtain? We begin our journey to finding these answers by first looking at several terms that apply to the concept of reincarnation. My studies focused on Hinduism and Buddhism, and I will try to clarify as much as I go along. We've all heard of karma before, usually along with the phrase, what goes around comes around. According to the Essentials of Hinduism, the word karma means action. The word is also used to mean the effect of action. All good actions produce good effects, and bad actions bad. The effects or fruits of action are generally called karma phala. Karma means work, and phala means fruit. Karma is an important term in relation to reincarnation, as a person's actions in the current life will affect the quality of the next life. It is important to note, however, that karma isn't a point system where you rack up points toward the next life. Rather, it is the idea of cause and effect. Back to the essentials of Hinduism, we look at the term dharma. Dharma usually means religion. It also means moral and ethical duty. Basically, dharma is everything that one should live by. It is the balance that creates life and living. It is important to maintain dharma. To kill, for example, would go against dharma. As with karma, it is important to maintain dharma in your life. Atman is the Hindu term for a person's spirit or essence. It can be compared to what we might call a soul. However, the Atman can be reincarnated, whereas the soul ends in heaven or hell. Moksha is the Hindu term for liberation from the life and death cycle. Samsara is the life, death, and reincarnation cycle and is represented on the wheel of life. In the center of the wheel are three animals, a pig, a snake, and a bird. They represent the three poisons of ignorance, attachment, and aversion. The second set of images represents karma, the law of cause and effect, both positive and negative. The next section shows the 6 realms of samsara. These realms include the God realm, the demigod realm, the animal realm, the hell realm, the hungry ghost realm, and the human realm. The outside 12 sections of the wheel represent the 12 links of dependent origination, which comes from Buddhism. These sections represent a lack of knowledge, constructive volitional activity, consciousness, name and form, 6 senses, contact, pain, thirst, grasping, coming to be, being born, and old age and death. The figure holding the wheel stands for impermanence and is usually depicted as Yama, the Lord of Death. Above the wheel is an image of the moon. The moon represents liberation from the sufferings of samsara. The upper part of the drawing also shows an image of Buddha pointing toward the moon. This represents the path to liberation. Also, drawings of the Wheel of Life usually contain an inscription consisting of a few lines of text that explain the process that keeps us in samsara and how to reverse that process. After all of this, however, I was still having trouble understanding what this all meant, and how it would lead me to my answers, as I had yet to come up with a clear one. That is when I found the videos of Jay Lakhani on YouTube.
Jay Lakhani. Sri Lakhani is a popular public speaker on Hinduism in the United Kingdom. He offers Hindu teachings to hundreds of youngsters, as well as thousands of students in schools, colleges, and universities.
After contacting him through social media and email, we had a brief back and forth and he agreed to help me out. He sent me several videos of him talking about reincarnation, karma, dharma, and other videos related to my questions. In one of his videos about reincarnation, Jay Lakhani tells the story of an Indian king named Bharata.
King Bharat was a very pious, very lovely king of India, ancient India. Very spiritual, he led a very positive life, very righteous, honest king. Now King Bharat, in those days they said that when you reach certain age, you give up your kingdom and walk into the forest, Aranyak, go into the forest and become a hermit. So you give up all your kingdom, your wealth, and say, now I'm going to spend my rest of my life thinking about higher spiritual things, no material world. Then one day before he started to sit down for meditation, there's a little stream of water passing by his hut. That's how he gets his water supply. And before he went into meditation, he suddenly saw a lady, a female deer come, and she was pregnant. And while she was trying to cross the stream, she toppled over and she died. And she gave birth to a little baby deer. And the baby deer was going to be taken away, swept away by the water. And King Bharat is a compassionate person. So he got up, he picked up the baby deer and brought it to his little hut. He said, I can't let this baby deer die. Now King Bharat developed tremendous attachment to this deer. You see, because he's like a child. He's been born and brought up in front of him. He developed attachment to this deer. The story goes, look, this is a story, but enjoy the story. The story goes, when King Bharat died, he was reborn as a deer. It's because the last thing that Bhagavad Gita says, the last thing that you think about before you die becomes you, or if you like, this is where you are projected. So the poor man, he was a major king, was projected as a deer. That character was still there, trapped in a deer's body. So how did he show his character? It only would go where the hermits were meditating and chanting the Vedic mantra. The deer would just go and live near there and listen. He doesn't know why, because he's a deer. He can't understand. He spent a whole life as a deer, but deliberately grazing near the hermitages. And then when that deer passed away, he was reborn again as a human. And when he was reborn as a human, he recalled what mistake he made last time. He associated with the deer and got caught. He had to go into an extra cycle.
In that video, Jay Lakhani speaks about how King Bharata's last thoughts were of his deer, and that is why he turned into a deer in his next life. This is the closest to an answer for one of my questions that I have come up with. After my research and speaking with Jay Lakhani, I realized that the questions I put forth were formed in a mind that only had misconceptions on the subject. Because of this, I was unable to come up with clear answers. However, now I am more informed on reincarnation and realize that there are no hard rules.
You only live once.
Hey, speak for yourself.